What's up YouTube, Dale here from Zephyr Wargames, and today I am bringing you the test and combo video for the Shaddoll Invoked profile I showed you the other day. Now in that video there were also some combos as well, so you'll get to learn the basics of what you're trying to do, but then in this video we're going to show you the consistency and then what you do if you can't get access to them and the standard board that this deck can produce. So with all of that out of the way, please smash that like button, hit that notification bell and subscribe so you don't miss out on any more upcoming content. After a very decent shuffle and a good old cut, our opening hand going first will be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so we've got good access to Alistair Go Brr, and we've also got access to Shaddoll Fusion, so we can pretty much end our board on a nice little window, if not a little bit more so. So you're going to start off with Magicalized or Magical Meltdown. This is going to search you out an Alistair. I know you've already got one, but it's just kind of cool because this can then bait out a hand trap if they attempt to try and do it. A lot of people save it for Alistair, which is more so the correct way to go. You're then going to normal summon the Alistair. Alistair goes Burr and searches you out a Invocation. There we go. Now at this point it's entirely up to you on where you want to try and push for. The very easiest route that we're going to do, just to protect everything else going forward, is you're going to turn your Alistair into your Artemis, and then straight away you're now in a position to go activate Invocation, banish the Alistair, banish Artemis, and summon out your Macabre. Now Macabre, you are completely protected as it currently stands through spells and monsters. We're going to use the Invocation effect, putting that back to the deck, to the Alistair back to the hand, because free resource. And now it's entirely up to you. Now unfortunately your opponent doesn't control a monster from the extra deck, so you can't really utilise Shaddoll Fusion's graveyard or like send from deck. But you do have the ability, should you want to, is you can go into Winder, and that's pretty much going to give, it's quite painful for your opponent to deal with. You'll also get a Foolish Burial off the Schemata plus one additional Fusion Summon, so it's Fusion Summon? Special Summon. So it's entirely up to you on where you'd want it to go and how far you'd want it to go. So what I mean by here is we'll activate Shaddoll Fusion. We're still protected with monster effects because of Macabre. You're going to have to use Dragon and Schemata. Dragon is a bit disappointing because you don't really gain any advantage off of the back of that. But you can then use Schemata's effect, which basically lets you Foolish Burial a designated Shaddoll from the deck. Now it's entirely up to you on what you'd want to go for, depending on what it is. Now it is a Shaddoll card, so if you were to try and get off Winder or get rid of Winder, you could then add it back, so you're getting resource back the next turn. Your options off the back of this is something like Wendy, because if Wendy is sent, you then get to special on a Shaddoll monster from the deck in face down defense, so that can set you up a decent flip effect for something like Hedgehog for the next turn as well, so it's entirely up to you. We can also very easily send Beast and just get a nice easy draw. So up to you on your particular play style. Personally, maybe Wendy with a Hedgehog would be pretty good, because then Hedgehog can give us a more, like another search the next turn. Whereas Beast is going to be able to set us up as well. So shuffle all this up, draw one card off a Beast. Ooh, okay, Shaddoll Fusion. We'll set the Shaddoll Fusion, because that's actually pretty decent. The only issue is we don't have two Shaddoll monsters with different attributes. So if you were to play a second Winder, that is a kind of really cool option, because then you can Winder up, and then Winder can recycle Shaddoll Fusion. And that's basically what you're aiming to do, is recycle that Shaddoll Fusion during your opponent's turn or anything like that. Passing on this, I know it's not the most amazing end board. Obviously the idea behind this is to highlight what Shadow's Light can do to you, but it's also to highlight what you do without Shadow's Light. So very instantly, you're putting your opponent in a position, if you think that you're going to be worried about a spell, you can actually hold the Shaddoll Fusion back, and that might be more effective for you. Because then if they open up something like Evenly Matched, you go, okay, cool, well, I'll probably get rid of Macabre and Meltdown and leave Winder, because that will cause you issues. If they open up an Imperm, they can turn off Winder straight away, and you're like, yeah, okay, fine, whatever. You've still got to deal with a monster or a spell off the back of Fusion. And if they go to Battle Phase, like for example, I know a lot of people will try and go Fenrir. So if they go Fenrir and go, cool, Battle Phase, Fenrir declare on Winder, effect to target Winder to banish it face down, you can go Macabre to negate. And then even if they still try and get through for an attack on Winder, you've got two Alistairs that you could in theory drop. But ideally you're only going to want to drop one, because then you can use the next one to start off the next turn. It's not the end of the world if Winder does get stopped, but keep in mind that if your opponent is playing cash, they need to open up Unicorn to get to Birth, and then also have Fenrir in hand to normal summon it, or they then need to be able to have the ability to not conduct two special summons. So It's not the most groundbreaker, but it is something that's just a very small lock in the sense of I can deal with any monster or spell effect, and then I can also stop you from special summoning. So very basic. This is, you know, good old school fashioned Shaddoll invoked kind of plays, just how it is sometimes. So what we're going to do is we're going to shuffle up and we're going to go again. Now obviously the idea is we kind of want to highlight Shadow's Light. I've shown you in the combos what Shadow Light can actually bring you to the deck. This deck isn't, of course, meta. It's probably like tier 2, tier 3 maybe, more so, purely because of what it does. But it's just one of them ones that if you've been playing Shadolls for a while, if you've been playing Invoke for a while, you usually probably evolve to Branded. And if you're like, all right, okay, I just want a bit of a break, I want to try something a little bit different, then this is an option for you. So after another decent shuffle and a good old cut, so our second test down going first will be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Why are we seeing the one-offs? Like, jeez, bro, why can't I see one-offs as this consistent? We got Shadow's Light, so that's a good start, and we've also got access to Alistar, so our hand's actually pretty decent. So we're going to start off with Terraforming. This will, of course, add us a Meltdown. Pray and hope our opponent doesn't have Droll. Cry. Activate Meltdown. Meltdown will get us Alistar, wherever he may be. And there we go. Normal summon Alistar. Go brr. Get us a Invocation. There we go. And we've pretty much done all the basics we need to. So now what we want to do here is you want to activate Shadow's Light. You're going to target the Alistar, and this is going to allow you to special summon a light level 4 spellcaster from the deck, and we're going to go into Quem. Now, there was a mention that you could actually use the Magister light monster, which you can do very easily. The only difference is it means you don't have access to synchro plays and you don't have access to constantly looping with Quem, which can be quite important. It's just entirely up to you on your budget applications. But like I said, the chances are you're probably going to be playing Branded. You upgrade from Invoke, Shadolls and Invoke to play Branded, and you'll go, right, okay, well, I'm a bit bored of Branded, let's come back a little bit. So we're then going to resolve Quem on summon, which will allow you to Foolish Burial the Cartesia from the deck. Not to worry, because we're going to add her back nice and easily. There we go. Keep in mind as well, you do have the secondary effect of Shadow's Light that you can banish it to gain an additional normal summon of this turn as well. That's kind of cool because then it lets you abuse Alistar, which is really nice. So then what you want to do here is you want to link your Alistar and you go into your Artemis, so straight away you're getting access to your, not that you need it right now, but another light monster. And then because a monster leaves the extra deck in the form of Artemis summoning, Quem can then trigger to bring back your Cartesia. So you're pretty much setting up your plays of what you need to, and you have the ability to activate Invocation should you want to as well. So there's a lot for you to continue to keep doing. Now with this particular hand, because we actually have access to normal summon our dragon or our aerial, that can actually be quite useful for us. We've also got the ability, should we want to use Cartesia to fuse, and in doing so you'll fuse with Ariel or herself. I'd personally probably want to keep Ariel in the hand because, I mean, you could go for App Cologne if you wanted to, which would be a really kind of nice play during the next turn, which is what I'm going to save the Cartesia for. So with this, if we use Cartesia's effect, annoyingly we do need to get rid of Dragon, which is disappointing. She'll allow us to go into Construct. And then what you'll be able to do here is you're able to use Construct's effect, and this will let you Foolish Burial. Now this won't let us get the full board, but this will allow us to set up some okay boards basically. So let's send Squamata just to fill up the graveyard a little bit, and then Squamata can send a card. And we probably want to get access to Schism a little bit earlier than usual, so we'll send the Schism. There we go. And then what you'll do here is you'll link off Construct with Artemis, and this will then allow you to go into Cross Sheep. Because Construct was sent from field to grave, you can add back the Schism, so that's your way of setting everything up that you might need to. You still have the ability to activate the Invocation, so at this point as well, you probably want to banish your Alistar. I personally would keep the keep Construct in the graveyard. By doing this as well, it's entirely up to you on if you plan to bring back Cartesia off the back of Cross Sheep, or if you wanted to bring something back like Squamata or Dragon. You're probably going to want to bring back your Cartesia, so in that scenario, you probably want to get rid of Construct, because then at least you're going to get the ability to Synchro. So let's banish those. Let's continue off on the chain. There we go, Macabre. Effect to Cross Sheep will trigger. and this will summon back Cartesia. Again, just being a level 4 tuner is what's making it important. You can use Invocation, put that back to the deck, add Alistair back to the hand. Keep in mind you're not able to conduct a battle phase this turn, but like that matters. And then what you want to do here is you then want to use the second effect of Shadow's Light to normal summon the Alistair effect trigger, search out an invocation. So if you wanted to, you can conduct another fusion summon. We're not going to. We've actually protected pretty much. So at the moment, we're protected from trap spells and monsters. So then what you want to do here is you want to synchro these two. You probably want to synchro it where Quem is. I'll probably put Quem in the wrong place, but it is what it is. We'll go into Savage. Now, obviously, in an ideal world, what you'd probably try and do is you'd probably, if you had Squamata, you would have an additional monster, so then you can link off the Cross Sheep. But we don't have that, which is why you wanted to keep Artemis in the graveyard. You summon Savage. Savage can equip the Artemis. And then your board is currently looking like this. So what you want to do here, I'm going to just double check that. So you want to be able to set the Schism. Schism's got the targets to do it because we sent the Squamata, so there's your Wind Dart off the back of the Schism, and then Send of the Dark. And then your one special summon, obviously because you've got both zones of Cross Sheep locked up, would actually come off of Quem, and that's where she'll bring back Cartesia. So that'll be your one special summon under the Winder. So you do need to be quite careful. The other option as well is you do also have, because you've got the Shaddoll Fusion, is you could use the Shaddoll Fusion to fuse during your opponent's turn. So rather than bringing back Cartesia, you actually bring back something like Dragon, and then you'll have the plays to make from there. Another way you can do as well is you can also use Schism, and Schism will allow you to banish, to summon out, and because you've got the aerial, you can actually summon out the App Clone as well. So it gives you a couple of different options depending on what you want to play for and what you want to play towards. And then the best thing about that is, as long as you can maintain a dark monster in some form or another, you've got the ability of actually activating Shaddoll Fusion. So you can go App Clone, negate, and search and discard, and then activate Fusion. So you could also, you've got so many plays to make, it's crazy good. So that's a very, very heavy control board. Obviously, my misplay was the placement of Quem. So I need to remember to always put Quem the opposite side of where Cross Sheep is, and that will leave that zone free, so you can pretty much bring back any level 4. Moving on to the next turn from that's pretty much OTK, because you've got Savage, which will give that Omni Negate, you've got Cross Sheep, and then all you need to do is you just upgrade one of those, like link into a link 3, which is Selene. Selene then moves you into Access Code, and your end board is like Access Code, Macabre, plus access to Savage Dragon as well. So, and not to mention you still have Invocation with an Alistair in the graveyard, so I could activate that and then summon out like a Raijin if I get a win to the board, or go into a Geddes, everything else like that. So we're going to shuffle this up, we're going to do another test hand, but this time we are going to go second. Now this is where the deck gets better, but also gets a little bit trickier, because your full Shaddoll Fusion becomes actively live, which is, unless your opponent is not playing an extra deck, so cry if you're up against Labyrinths, you'll be in a bit of a tough situation. So now let's do going second, being 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, pretty cracked. Now the reason that this hand's pretty decent, like you could have activated the Imperm during your opponent's turn, but what I quite like to do, dependent, is I do quite like to hold this back. And the reason you want to hold this back is that it gives you the ability to kind of turn off one of your opponent's board breakers. So if I go, okay, draw phase, activate Imperm, try to negate this monster that could possibly negate any of my card effects, and I go, okay, that sucks, but we'll deal with it. Then what you do is you go Shaddoll Fusion, and the reason we'll do this is you actually want to send Genius as one attribute, and then we'll send Squamata as another. And the reason you're doing this is you're going to be setting up some chain links to make sure you can negate and to stop your opponent from basically interacting with you. So this allows you to pretty much turn off more board interference. So you're going to go App Clone, so 2 monsters with different attributes, so a Dark and a Earth. And then what you want to do is you want to build your chain link here. So you're going to go Chain Link 1, target face-on monster on the field, negate its effects. Chain Link 2, Genius. If it's sent to the graveyard by card effect, target an effect monster on the field, neither player can activate that target's effects on the field this turn, so that's negate number 2. And then Chain 3 will be Squamata to send. So you're protecting both of these, so they need to be targeted to negated, so they need something like a Call by the Grave to deal with Genius, and then they'll need like an Imperm to deal with App Clone. So you're pretty much building up your entire board state, and that's causing them a lot of issues. So as you resolve everything backwards, use Squamata. So if you're worried about back row, you send Dragon. If there is no back row, you can send Wendy, and Wendy will give you a Shaddoll monster. The issue is it will be face down defense. Or of course you could send Hedgehog, and this will allow you to add a Shaddoll monster. So it depends on where you want to go for and how you want to do it. I'm going to go this route because then I'm dealing with back row. I've negated 3 monsters on my opponent's board and pretty much set up my graveyard for everything I need. There you go. So, and then new chain, Dragon, target back row, pop. Now I am relatively free. Like if there was an imperm along the back row and they tried to negate this, obviously Dragon can then pop another one. There's still a lot that really kind of causes them issues. The only downside we've got here is we've opened up the bloody Quem, but we can just go directly to Cartesia anyway. Normal summon Alistar. Alistar's effect go burr. Now obviously Ash Blossom would suck, but then you would probably Ash the Shaddoll Fusion. So pretty straightforward on that one. Alistar is going to search us out Invocation. It's a shame we don't have Meltdown, but that is what it is. And then of course what we want to do here is you want to activate Shadow's Light, target the Alistar. This will then tag out into Cartesia. Obviously Quem would have been a little bit better to let us go that tad bit further, but it's not the end of the world. Shuffle this up. And then what you want to do here is you've got the ability, should you want to use Cartesia to fuse now. The issue is, because we've used Shadow Light, we don't get our battle phase this turn. But because we've negated everything, the idea is we're going to try and pick our board apart. Alternatively, you don't use Shadow's Light, and even with a hand like this, you're still in a good position because you've got the ability to link off both of these. And the reason you'd link off both of these is, keeping in mind as well, the face-up monster's effects are just negated permanently. It's not while App Cologne's on the board. And the reason that's important is App Cologne will give you a draw and discard. So let's use this for an example, right? So we're going to use these two, and we're going to link those into a cross sheep. That will then allow you to trigger the App Cologne effect. So App Cologne will let you add a Shaddoll card and then discard a card. So we will add... do I want to use El Shaddoll? Yeah, maybe. Trying to think if there's anything more effective that we haven't gone through already. I mean, if I need to banish cards from the graveyard, I can use Nell Shaddoll. Otherwise, I could use Wendy. I mean, this is the issue with Shadow's Light, trying to hold it back. Unless you absolutely need to. I mean, I've still got the Invocation Fusion. It's such a shame that Quem's in the hand. It really is. Do I want... I don't really need this. I'll tell you what, let's keep the Shadow's Light just in case. I mean, I've already kind of gone past the point of no return. Let's say we add the Schism instead. We'll discard the Beast. Beast will give us a nice draw. I might change my mind as we go on this one. So, draw off of Beast. Okay. And then, of course, we've got Invocation. So let's go with Alistar and I mean, I could get rid of App Cologne and go Agedes to get more aggressive. Agedes to go more aggressive. What can I bring back from the graveyard? Yeah, okay. So we'll go Agedes, be more aggressive. Cross Sheep's effect. Cross Sheep can then bring us back... Cartesia shouldn't have been in the grave, right? Don't think it is. No, Cartesia definitely shouldn't be in the grave. Trying to catch my bearings. Right, okay, so then Cross Sheep's effect will trigger. Obviously the effect of Agedes as well will pop a card. Then we can bring back from the graveyard now. Squamata's probably the best one. I'm going to use it as fusion fodder anyway, so it doesn't make much of a difference. We can then use Invocation. Invocation can add the Alistar back to the hand. I can then activate Shaddoll, or El Shaddoll. We can use Quem plus Squamata. Go into Construct. Let's put Construct over here. Construct effect, Foolish. This is all still trying to maintain aggression. Probably. Could I have left a spellcaster on the board instead? Maybe I'm just looking at this all the wrong way and I could have gone so much more aggressive on this. Think. So if I bring back Schemata... No, you kind of need to use the Schemata... Oh no, I don't. Okay. Tell you what, I'm going to fix this. This is just a weird scenario to be in. So do all of this. Construct stays in the extra deck. We'll link up Cross Sheep plus Schemata. We won't use the Shaddoll fusion just yet. We'll go into Selene. Selene will bring back a spellcaster, which will be Schemata. And then what you want to do here is you want to use Shaddoll fusion, fuse Schemata plus Quem. Go into Construct. Construct effect to Foolish Burial. So, what have we got left? Can I push with the OTK? I mean, I'm going to get 2 off of access code to clear. I kind of want to get Construct to the graveyard, so that's not the end of the world. So, let's go for... I think I made a misplay by adding the Schism. I probably should have added something else. Oh well. So we'll send the Incarnation. We'll link off Construct plus Selene and go into access code. Access code gain 3k. Add back Incarnation off of Construct. But then what we're going to do here is we're going to use access code, destroy, access code, destroy, and then Getters as well. So if a monster is special summoned or a monster is special summoned to your opponent's field, you type 1 monster on the field, your opponent controls, destroy it. You can only use each of the following effects once per turn. You can banish 1 fusion monster from your graveyard. This card gains attack equal to that banished monster's attack until the end of this turn. So boom, 48, 53, that's your OTK play. And that was all without using Shadow's Light because I wanted to maintain a battle phase. And then otherwise I can set 2, if not 3, and then go from there. So lesson learned coming second, Shadow's Light. Isn't that good? I think it would have been better if it was called Shaddoll's Light, to be honest with you. Isn't that great going second because of the non-battle phase kind of thing. And because without a battle phase, it means you can't get into something like Zeus. Not that we play Zeus. But it's a lot stronger, a lot harder to deal with breaking boards. So, interesting approach. Very interesting approach, actually. I kept forgetting that it has that restriction of no battle phase, no matter which effect you use, which sucks quite a lot. Anyway, let's shuffle this up. Let's do our final test and go in second. And start with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Wow, we got a lot of everything. At least we've got access to Meltdown, so my opponent isn't stopping squat. Activate Meltdown, get yourself an Alistair. There we go. Normal summon the Alistair, go burr. This will then give you access to Invocation, and obviously by trying to move this chain forward, you're trying to get your opponent to interact with you. If they don't, you know your Shaddoll Fusion is good to rock and roll. So let's activate Shaddoll Fusion. Annoyingly, we've opened up like our Genius kind of additional negate, and I don't really want to use it from the hand. I kind of want to save that. So I would send Schemata, and we will send Wendy. And again, we'll pretty much do the same thing. We're trying to like negate our opponent's board, so always go App Clone if you're going second, in my opinion. So we go Chain Link 1 App Clone, Chain Link 2 Wendy, Chain Link 3 Schemata. Schemata on this one, depends if you want the draw or not. So if you want the draw, you send Beast. If you want to deal with back row, you go with Dragon. In the previous one, we dealt with back row, so in this one, we'll deal with getting a draw. So we'll shuffle that up. So Beast will attempt to pop. Actually, no, sorry. Beast will attempt to pop. Beast will attempt to draw. Actually, could we have done a little bit better? Probably could have sent the trap card. Yeah, let's do this differently. I can actually draw more. What am I talking about? So we'll send the send Resh as this one off of Wendy. We will, what flip effect do I want the most? Don't really want to bounce, so we'll set the Beast. And then 1 App Cologne will negate the card it targeted. There we go. So then obviously you've got the graveyard. The very nice graveyard effect is you banish the Incarnation and 1 Shaddoll card. Target a face down monster on the field and change it to face up. So that's going to give you a draw and discard of a Beast, which is exactly what we'll do because we've got the access to get into Genius now. So we'll use this, flip Beast. Let's see, that's in graveyard. Draw 2, discard 1. Let's discard this. There we go. Genius effect triggers, negate one of our opponent's card effect, like one of our opponent's monsters. So cool, we negated that. So now our hand's still pretty stacked. We've got loads in the hand that we can utilize as fusion material. It's a shame that Cartesia, like, you really need Quem on the board, which is why Shadow's Light's so good. But going second, it's really pants. Unless you can't break that board, and then you do it differently. Cool, so then in this position that we're in, we can now start to link stuff together. So we might as well start using some of the discard effects in our hands. So let's get rid of Beast. Yeah, let's get rid of Beast. Go into Cross Sheep. Effect of App Cologne to let you add and discard. So what do we want to add? What do we want to discard? Well, I've got enough Shaddolls in the hand, so we'll add the Fusion. And we'll discard, how many targets have we got left in deck for Hedgehog? I've got Dragon, so we'll discard the Hedgehog. Hedgehog's effect, add a Shaddoll monster, so we'll add Dragon. So we'll pretty much pick off everything as we go. There we go. We're going to activate El Shaddoll Fusion. Obviously, you can push it into the battle phase if you want to, entirely up to you. We're going to use Dragon, and we will use Cartesia, because that's your light. That will get you into Construct. And then here you'll be able to build up a chain. So you can go Chain Link 1, Cross Sheep, Chain Link 2, Construct, Chain Link 3, Dragon. So Sheep can bring back Cartesia. Dragon will pop a back row. And then Construct can Foolish. And there are, I don't think there's any targets left that are worthwhile. So we'll send the Schism, because we'll add that back if we can't complete the OTK. And then what you want to do here, Cross Sheep plus Alistair goes into Selene. Selene's effect, bring back Alistair. So 1, 2, 3. And if you really needed to, you could activate the invocation. And then the idea is here, you can sync these two together. Go into Savage. Savage's effect, quit to a Cross Sheep. And then Construct plus Selene, add back. Add back Schism, just in case you can't complete the OTK, but you should be able to complete the OTK. The only issue with Savage is, obviously effect of this as well, is that you bring back Cross Sheep, so you kind of take away an attribute in the graveyard. But we then have the ability of activate Invocation, and we can banish App Cologne plus the Alistair in the graveyard, gives you a Geddes. Geddes effect to destroy, Geddes effect to banish, says Construct, gain 28. And then if you really wanted to, you can do Invocation, add back Alistair, battle phase, drop 2 on this, that's that. Obviously before battle phase, effect to at least get rid of 1 more card. So again, we've still managed to negate 2. We've got an Omni negate here, we've got aggression there as well, and then we've got aggression all the way through here. So pretty insane, and that's without using Shadow's Light again. So as cool as a card as Shadow's Light is, it is so tailored for the deck to go first. That's the way the deck has been built, which is why there are a couple of scenarios where I'm like, oh, Shadow Light sucks going second. But yeah, that's just the way the deck's designed. It's designed to go first. It's not heavily reliant on going second. It can do, and that's where stuff like your Shaddoll Fusion kind of comes through. So I would definitely advise, if you feel like going into game 2 or 3, if you're going to go second, that's where you've got 5 cards you can very easily side out. So you can side out the Quem, the Cartesia, and then the 3 Shadow's Light, and then you're good to rock and roll. So anyway, I hope this is giving you a couple of ideas on how it can play out. Obviously, I'm not the most versed in the Shaddoll deck itself, because I've been a bit rusty, got to dust that off. But it's still a very good deck, it's still a very fun deck. Like you saw, going first is very powerful, utilising Shadow's Light. Going second, it does have a lot of aggression and a lot of gas. And there are ways to kind of negate and pick boards apart and bait out interactions and everything else like that. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. If you do have any questions, by all means, please put them in the comments down below. I will be more than happy to answer them for you. But for now, as absolutely always, stay safe, and of course, happy dueling.